Hey everyone, this is my video response to Kelly Bear's question. If you were going away for 1 year, yes, 12 whole months, and you could only take 5 decks away with you, what would they be? Well, I was on Struggle Street all afternoon about this, by the way. It's just not as easy as you think, is it? But all in all, this is what I've come up with. But I will say I think I'm one of those people that if you ask me again in 4 months, it's highly likely I may have changed my mind, depending on what other new decks come in. I will say also, I'm just speaking of decks that I have in my possession. I'm still so torn over the Fountain. I love it, but I'm not sure if it's for me. So difficult when you can't hold it in your hands just to make that decision. I would definitely take Bonefire if I had it, and I don't. I have to wait for the Schiffer publication, which kind of breaks my heart because Gabby is located about an hour's drive from me, and I just feel it's just ridiculous that I don't have a copy of that beautiful deck. Anyhow, I don't have them, so I thought it's only fair that I choose a deck or 5 that are in my possession right now. So first of all, Chrysalis. Even I am surprised because this deck has been around for such a long time, and I only got this deck about 2 months ago. It's just all of a sudden I just seem to reignite, or not even reignite, ignite a real connection with this deck. And then I saw the beautiful Elise from Wild Moon Tarot do a walkthrough, and that sealed the deal. As soon as I saw the artwork, I just felt my intuition was crying out, hurry up and get it now. So I did, and I absolutely love it. I love it because it's still a Rider-Waite based system, but it's quite unique. It's very earthy. It's like Gaia on a stick, and it just brings in so many different elements of nature, and I love it. I think the artwork is also beautiful. And when I read about Tony Brooks, and it says here, after retiring from broadcasting 20 years ago, Tony travelled the world researching spirituality. He studied both formally and informally a number of metaphysical subjects, including comparative mythology, philosophy and history, and an obscure area of theology known as Mariology or Mariology. He holds a PhD in metaphysics and a certification in spiritual counselling. See, to me, there's so many different elements that go into my decision as to whether to buy a deck or not. But that combined with the beautiful artwork of Holly Sierra, I just feel like this is a special deck for me. And the suits are stones, spirals, scrolls, and mirrors. So I love that, you know, little difference between the traditional Rider-Waite and this. However, if you use Rider-Waite, you can step into this, you know, easily and clearly. And you can see again nature, the bear, ravens, the big lion and the dear little lamb. We've got the wise owls. Like they're still utilised so beautifully. Look at the 10 of stones with that beautiful clear quartz terminators. Again, you know, the sunflower. There's just so many different elements of nature, and that's what I like. So I think, again, if I can only go away for a year, if I can only take 5 decks, you know, for the year, I'd like not just stock standard Rider-Waite, something that's really going to keep me interested. So there you have it. That would be my number 1, and I love here we have the Empress is Gaia herself. So that's it. Oh, when I say number 1, that's one of them. Yeah, I couldn't honestly put them in any particular order, but I think you get the gist. The next deck I would take is the Joie de Vivre. And again, I have surprised myself over the last few months. This is another fairly new deck for me. It's been around. I've seen it. I knew about it. I looked at it. First of all, I looked at the Paulina. I loved the artwork, as I do with this, but I thought for myself it's a bit too busy for me to work with. And then for some reason, again, there's been so many profound changes over the last 12 months. I just felt compelled to, you know, review this deck, and I did, and I just knew immediately it was time for me to purchase, and I love it. I love the diversity of the artwork, even though it's stylized, but it just takes me to so many different worlds. I love this Queen of Swords. Look at her. Isn't that magic? I love it. It's just beautiful. And here's the irony. It really depends on your headspace at the time, doesn't it? Because once I bought this deck, I thought, what on earth was I concerned about? I will say I don't think this is as busy as the Paulina, but I just thought both of them weren't really for me to use. To have, yes, but to use, no. So there it is, some really colourful characters. It takes me on an intuitive journey. You can read the book or not, it doesn't matter. It's all there in the artwork, and I really love it. So that would definitely come along with me. This may be cheating because they're not straight tarot. But if I can, I would certainly make this deck one of my 5. It's the Shaman Wisdom cards, because I want to definitely keep that variety up. And they're tools for like inner work, inner spirit, you know, the one within. And obviously they are shamanic wisdom coming from a Native American perspective. And I really love them. I bought these off the beautiful Katie Flowers, and I am so, so glad I did. It's not the deck that I originally chose. And funnily enough, I was just scrolling through the list of decks that she had for sale, and these caught my eye, and straight away I just had to ask some further questions, and that was that. So these cards, again, I love because they come from a slightly different perspective, and they incorporate a number of different, if you want to call them suits, they're not really, but there's like groups of cards that pertain to different things, like the moon tribes, the animal sisters, the plant clans, the tree brothers, the sacred stone societies, and the 7 great directions, as they call it. And so as an example, here we have north, south, east, west. We have the various moon phases or various moons. Let's just move these over here. I'm making a nice mess, aren't I? So there we have the snow moon, the hunger moon, the long night moon, and the crow moon, as an example. And then, say, for the birds, we have the crow or raven, the owl, the hawk, and the eagle. I'm not showing you all of them, obviously. The trees, the redwood, the cedar, the willow, and the maple. Plants, we've got beans and sweetgrass, squash, and corn. So you can see again, it's definitely incorporating all the elements of shamanism, nature, and just the Native American philosophies in general. And I just love the fact that they are different. I mean, if I looked at the artwork, there's the back, I'd think, oh yeah, they're okay. It's all a bit samey. And then all of a sudden I thought, hold on a minute, that reminds me of Sedona, just looking at this color scheme. And I just fell in love. So some beautiful animals here, the cougar, the wolf, the bear, and the buffalo. And last but certainly not least, we also have crystals as an example. Amethyst, quartz, obsidian, and amber. And it just so happens that I have a beautiful piece of natural amber to go with this card. There it is. So if I'm allowed to just bend the rules a little and take this deck, I would definitely do so. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I have a lot to learn with them yet, but it's one of those decks, again, you want an answer, you'll get an answer. It's fantastic, very direct. Love it. In order to further explore my inner journey and move into shadow work, I would definitely take the Book of Shadows, and why not? When I look at this beautiful artwork, goodness me, I love it. So yes, this would definitely come along with me. I love the darkness, the shadows. That's why it's called the Book of Shadows, obviously. But you know what I mean, just in the artwork itself. It's so different to chrysalis, and that's what I love, the diversity between the decks, between joie de vivre, chrysalis, and this. This is just floating in the ether. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. I'm sure it'll help me along. So definitely the Book of Shadows would be coming on my journey. And here it is, number 5, the Smith-Waite Tarot Centennial Edition. I wouldn't be the first person to nominate this deck, I know. It is one of my favorites, and I think it's important to bring at least one deck that has that air of tradition. And I think a couple of other people have already said it is familiar, it's like coming home, and that's how I feel about this deck as well. It wasn't originally my favourite, the traditional style artwork, but I certainly grew to love it very much. And yeah, there is something, I don't think I've ever heard one person say they don't like this particular edition. There's something very special about this deck, and it just seems to flow beautifully. And I did say in the beginning, you know, I want variety of artwork. I want different types of artwork to come with me if I can only take 5 decks. So I think this sums it up really well. And just as a little shout out, I think the one thing I would struggle with, the decks that I have chosen I love, and as I mentioned earlier, there are other decks that if I had them in my possession, I probably would take them. So I'd have more of a dilemma. But this is about what I have right now. But I would also say a special shout out to Thoth. That is one deck that I am, well, a system that I'm really looking forward to getting. I've been craving to purchase that deck for a long time, but I thought, no, I have others that I need to really get to know on a deeper level, and I'll do that first. But a shout out to the beautiful Whispers Lenormand that I have been using for Lenormarch. It's a beautiful deck, and I think if I couldn't take this deck or one Lenormand deck with me for a year, I'd really miss it terribly. So that would be quite a challenge. I wonder whether we're allowed to buy a deck when we get to our destination, Kelly. I'm being stupid, but still that would be really nice to know. And I thought, if I was allowed to take this, which meant I had to leave one of the other tarot decks behind, maybe I could sneak this in my back pocket while Kelly Bear wasn't looking. It's my teeny tiny version, ever so cute and so easy to transport. Isn't it fabulous when you do these things off the cuff and everything ends up upside down? Anyhow, yeah, it's so teeny tiny. Look, there's a normal tarot card. So these are fab. But anyway, I'm kind of, yes, going off track. This would be number 5, and I would just have to grieve for the loss of the Lenormand cards for 12 months. That's just the way it is, isn't it? That's the challenge, 5 decks. So I'll stand my ground. Centennial, Chrysalis, Book of Shadows, Joie de Vivre, and the Shaman Wisdom cards, if I'm allowed to sneak a different system in with this little tarot selection. I think I'd be pretty happy with that for 12 months. Kelly Bear, such a fantastic question to ask, because I think most of us went into, oh my gosh, what do I do here mode? And I really had to sit and think about it for a while. So yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed this little challenge. Take care and talk to you again soon. Bye for now.